Hi, everybody. It's Mike from Here the Watchman. And, I'm really excited today on the show, The Watchman's Report, to bring to you a new speaker at the Here the Watchman conference in Dallas, Texas, which we're only 52 days away from right now. Just really excited to have him with us, Irvin Baxter. Irvin, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you, and it's very nice to be with you.
Well, Irvin, we're just tickled pink that you are going to be at the conference with us this year. Folks, Irvin is the founder and president of End Time Ministries. I'm sure you've heard him out there. He has a wonderful radio show, television show, The End of Age. You can find everything about him at endtime.com, www.endtime.com. Irvin, there's so much going on today in the world, but there are some pressing questions, and one of the things that I know you've delved into that I'd like to ask you about today is the British. Now, I cover this quite a bit because I have a gentleman by the name of Mark Sutherland in London, England, who will be there at the conference. But the British are in the process of pulling out of the EU. Now, does this have any prophetic significance as we move forward?
Well, actually, it does not. Many people thought perhaps it did because the EU is really the Holy Roman Empire reborn. And the Bible prophesies that the Holy Roman Empire would be reborn. And it actually happened on November the 3rd of 2009 when 28 nations signed on to a new treaty called the Treaty of Lisbon. And that actually became the Constitution of the United States of Europe, or the European Union. And a lot of people thought that Britain pulling out means then that Britain's going to be a part of this. However, it doesn't mean that, and here's how we know. In Revelation, there's a symbol of the nations that will be in the end-time government of the Antichrist. And the beast there has the body of the leopard, Germany, the feet of the bear, Russia, the mouth of the lion, Great Britain, and the 10 horns of a 10-nation union. So it shows explicitly that Britain is going to be an integral part of the world government of the Antichrist. So whether they're in the European Union or not in the European Union, it's prophesied what they're going to do.
It's interesting that you bring that up. There's a lot of questions out there also, Irvin, will Israel be ruled by the Antichrist? Where do you stand on that?
Israel will not be ruled by the Antichrist because the Bible teaches that Israel will be protected all during the Great Tribulation. This is found in Revelation 12, verse 14. It says that Satan will persecute the woman with the 12 stars. The 12 stars are the 12 tribes of Israel, and that she will be persecuted, but there will be given to the woman 2 wings of a great eagle that will nourish her and protect her for times and a half a time, which is the length of the Great Tribulation, 3.5 years. So all during the Great Tribulation, Israel is going to be protected by the eagle, which I believe is the United States of America. Of course, that's our symbol. And so we are going to protect Israel from the Antichrist. And then the Bible also says the Antichrist and his world government will invade Israel at Armageddon. Now, you don't invade a place if you already control it. So I do not believe Israel will be controlled by the Antichrist, but will be invaded during the Battle of Armageddon.
Very interesting. Interesting. Now, the Bible prophecies talk to us about the 10-nation alliance that will become the powerhouse of the Antichrist. Has this alliance been formed yet? Where do you stand on that?
We who teach Bible prophecy, we have often thought that the 10-nation union might be formed. For example, when Greece joined the European Union way back, when was it? Before 1990, it became the 10th member, and all the prophecy teachers said, "Oh, look, we got 10 members." But then 12, then 12, then 15, then 25, then 28, and that messed up everything. So it didn't fit. So all of us have been looking for this 10-nation union since that time. Well, Emmanuel Macron became the president of France in 2017. And he immediately started talking about a European military force because he does not like NATO being dominated by America. We give 75% of the budget of NATO. Consequently, America, nothing happens in NATO without our approval. Well, Europe now is to the point that they no longer want to be under the control of America. So he put forth the idea of a European army to react to different things in response to Europe's policies. So he proposed a coalition of the willing. Well, that was completed on November the 7th of 2018 when Finland became the 10th member. So there are now 10 members in this new European army put together by Emmanuel Macron. Of course, the word Emmanuel means God with us, and the word Macron means Mark. So the Bible teaches the Antichrist will stand on the Temple Mount claiming to be God with us. The Bible says he will exalt himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sits in the temple of God, showing himself to be God. I'm not saying Macron's the Antichrist. I don't know the answer to that right now, but I'm not writing him off either. But anyway, he's the prime mover behind this 10-nation union, which now became complete as of November the 7th of 2018. I'm not saying this is the 10, but it certainly looks like it. Now, the Bible teaches that after this 10-nation union is formed, that another will come up after it, uprooting 3. And when that happens, the one that uproots 3 will then become great and become the Antichrist. He'll make war against the saints for times and a half a time for 3.5 years. So once we see another come up, if that happens from this 10-nation union, if one comes up and either diplomatically or militarily displaces 3, then at that point we will know the identity of the Antichrist.
Wow. You know, Irvin, I'm going to touch on something here that's kind of personal to me. You, years ago, started talking about the real ID and the danger of the real ID. And I'm not going to get into that because I will really get going on that whole topic. I mean, but what I want to talk about today is the latest attack that we seem to be undergoing, and that is the 5G technology that's out there. What do you think about the 5G technology? Is it something that as Christians we should be concerned about?
Well, so that everyone will understand, our phones, first of all, operated on 2G, then we went to 3G. The word G stands for generation. Or now we're at 4th generation internet technology, but that's still not fast enough because many things, you have to wait for videos to download and so on. But 5G technology is being introduced this year, 2019, and it will be 10 to 100 times faster than the 4G technology. And they also are planning on launching 20,000 satellites to orbit the Earth, and supposedly that will supply 5G technology to every place on Earth. So anywhere you are, you will have internet connection. Now, one of the reasons they say they want this, they are ushering in what they're called the Internet of Things. And that means that everything ever manufactured or that exists will have its own ID, and they will be able to track everything everywhere at all times. But most important is every single person will be given their personal identification number, and that way they will be able to track every human being on the earth at all times. Now, we're not really very far from that right now, because if you have a cell phone, they know where you are at all times anyway. So we're not that far away, but this new technology will take it to a whole different level. And the United Nations believes in order to reach the Millennium Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, which is their target date, that every human being has to have their own personal identifier in order to accomplish this. So they have actually set a goal. They had a meeting called ID 2020. And in 2016, they met a goal. I'm talking about Google, Microsoft, Cisco Systems, JP Morgan, which is JP Morgan Chase Bank. We're talking about some of the biggest corporations in the world. They met together to plan for every person on earth to have their own unique identifier so that they can set up these sustainable development goals. It's nothing but the plan for one world government. It's all prophesied in the Bible 2,000 years ago, and we're watching it come to pass right now.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, Irvin, amazing. And this whole, I mean, the real ID thing is pertinent to me because I have an ID in one of those states that is apparently not compliant yet. And the question is, when will it be compliant? When do you have to have the gold star ID? And all of it being sold to us as just simply a way to protect us when we get on an airplane. I'm not buying it. What about you?
Well, I was very alarmed about it. I'm not as alarmed about it today as I was back a few years ago. Here's why. I've reached the conclusion that America is going to not participate in the program of the Antichrist. I've reached the conclusion that America is not part of the one world government beast, but rather we will be the biggest enemy of the world government. And we're watching that happen with the presidency of Donald Trump because he is pulling us out of the climate change agreement. He's pulled us out of a lot of the entangling economic agreements. And he also is saying we're going to defend our borders, whereas most of our presidents over the last 30 or 40 years have tried to eliminate borders. And we even have an organization in the world called Doctors Without Borders. And so many people were merging us through the process of globalization into the one world governmental system. The one world government is still coming, but in my opinion, the Bible shows us that the United States of America will not be a part of that world government. So if we are an enemy to the world government, then I don't believe our people will be worshiping the Antichrist, the leader of that world government. So I do believe America is in a privileged position, but because we're in that privileged position, we don't need to relax. Instead, we need to allow America to be the center for world evangelism as this all converges, because this world is going to need a place to go. They're going to need, and I think America's going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting what's going on right now. In light of all the imminent prophetic fulfillments, what do you think each person should be doing right now?
Number one, of course, is to make sure that they're right with Jesus Christ, that they're biblically born again. And then number two, the Bible says in Daniel 11:33, concerning the times just ahead, they that understand among the people shall instruct many. Now, most people, their understanding is very shallow. Most Christians even, their biblical literacy is appallingly shallow. So I think right now Christians should be preparing themselves, and we actually at End Time Ministries have founded the Jerusalem Prophecy College, existing in 11 semesters, 143 lessons that a person can enroll in online. And if they go through these 143 lessons, they will know what they need to know to fulfill Daniel 11:33. They that understand among the people shall instruct many. But if you don't understand yourself, you can't instruct others. So that's our passion right now. And our college has grown from 200 to 2,700 in the last 1 year. It's growing by leaps and bounds. People are enrolling, they're studying. It's all online, so anybody can take it anywhere in the world. So that's what I think people should be doing right now. They should be getting ready, because this world is going to need answers in the times just ahead, and only Christians that know their Bibles will be able to supply those answers.
Irvin, I'm glad you brought the college up because, my wife is just really excited about it. It is one of the initiatives of End Time Ministries that we here at Hear the Watchmen are just truly excited about. Can you tell me, where do people go to sign up? Where do they go to get that? To your website? How do they do it?
It's very simple. JerusalemProphecyCollege.com. You'll have a registration page come up, register, and then enroll in your first course.
Yeah, you got to start with the first one, right? I mean, that...
Well, yeah, because it all builds one on the other. Because if you don't know the first one, you won't understand the second one. Now, a lot of them are independent. The first 5 semesters of the college are prophecy. 5 total semesters. But then after that, we go into other things that people know. For instance, semester number 6 has to do with understanding the Bible, because there's a lot of people read the Bible and say, I just don't understand it. I can't figure it all out. How's it all tied together? So we taught an 18-lesson course called Understanding the Bible. We start from the book of Genesis. We start with the very basic question, why did God make human beings? You know, most people live and die and never know why they were here. So we say, why did God make human beings? And we explain what God's big purpose was. Well, once you understand that, then you know how you're supposed to fit into that. Then we talk about Adam and Eve were made sons of God, but they lost their status when they disobeyed. And you don't find another human son of God for the next 4,000 years until the second Adam. When the second Adam came along, through his obedience, of course, the second Adam is Jesus Christ. Through his obedience, he reversed all the damage done by the first Adam's disobedience. But it didn't leave us there. He wanted us to be restored to sonship, which is where he intends for all human beings to live. So he created a plan to bring us back to that place. His plan is called being born again. So when you're born again, you become a son of God again. So that's the big picture. That's just a little sample of how the Understanding the Bible course works.
Exciting stuff, Irvin. Exciting stuff. Great work. Now, listen, I mean, you know, we talk constantly, and at the conferences we do about the prophecies. And where do you think we are in the culmination of all these prophecies?
I believe we're just before the beginning of the final 7 years, which in the Bible is called Daniel's 70th week. The thing that will start the final 7 years is a peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinians. This peace agreement will establish a Palestinian state in the area of Judea. It will also place the Temple Mount under a sharing arrangement, and it will clear the way for Israel to build her temple without disturbing the Dome of the Rock or the Al-Aqsa Mosque. When that agreement is signed, the final 7 years to Armageddon and the second coming of Jesus to the earth will take place. President Trump has a plan. He hasn't revealed it yet. Supposedly, they're going to unleash the plan immediately after the Israeli elections, which will be held on April the 9th. If they unleash this plan, and if it is agreed to, if they sign it, then we will enter the final 7 years to the Battle of Armageddon and the second coming.
Amen, brother. Now, listen, we are, as I said earlier, excited that you're going to be at Hear the Watchman in Dallas, Texas, March 29th through the 31st. Can you give us a hint at what you might be talking about when you show up there?
Well, I've not fully decided yet, because when you have one session, you know, you've got to really narrow it down. I'm really tempted to speak on America's God-given destiny, because everybody wants to know, where is America in the Bible and what's going to happen to us. So I'm leaning in that direction. I haven't made a firm decision yet, but that's what's in my mind.
Well, we're looking forward to it, Irvin. And folks, remember, use the code Baxter20. Save yourself $20 per ticket. Come on out there, join us, be a part of what's going on. Irvin, I want to thank you again for joining us today, folks. Again, endtime.com. Get over there, get to know Irvin better, and then come on out to Dallas and say hello. Irvin, thank you.
Hey, thank you, Mike.
Well, God bless you, folks. Again, that's going to wrap it up today for the Watchman's Report. And remember, as I always say, there's nothing that you can't do with Jesus in your heart, except nothing at all. Get out there, get busy, activate your faith. God bless each and every one of you. We'll see you next time here on the Watchman's Report.